Hello everybody. Today we have a special video that is going to cover the topic of personal finance. And we're going to share with you 10 things that everybody should be doing or should learn to do involving personal finances. So let's hop right into it. The first thing is invest. Everybody should be setting aside money every month for investments that will make your retirement and future much easier. Now, instead of eating out 3 times a week, spending money at the mall on things you don't need, people need to learn to cut out unnecessary spending. If you need to cancel your Netflix subscription, do it. Netflix isn't going anywhere, but your time on this planet is limited. And if you want freedom, you need to start investing instead of spending. Now, just one thing, Netflix isn't a bad thing to do if that's one of the only vices you have. Maybe you can cut out food or buying luxury clothes. Whatever it is that you don't need to spend that much money on that could be better allocated towards investments, stop. Because in the future, this will allow you to do all of those things. But if you're not there yet, financially, if you're not financially free, these are some steps that you can take and you're going to need to make some sacrifices. So even if you don't want to be high risk and invest in cryptocurrency or volatile stocks, there are still plenty of other options. And some of these safer investments could be ETFs that follow indexes and have proven solid track records, real estate, bonds, or even your typical employer matched 401k. And all of these things should be researched further by yourself, of course, until you figure out what you would like to start investing in and what you don't want to invest in. And just to kind of wrap that up, next time you want to buy that new pair of sneakers, think about how much money that could be in 30 years if you invested it. So also with all these things, I'm going to be showing you guys some websites that relate to these topics. So right here we have Robinhood, and I use Robinhood along with TD Ameritrade to trade stocks and ETFs. And I like Robinhood because of the simplicity. There's no fees and just the layout of the platform. It's very, very easy to navigate, You got the top movers, so it shows you can also learn. They put out media. They have collections for beginners. So if you want to look at the 100 most popular, there you go. You want to look at the stocks that have upcoming earnings, there you go. And, this is just what I've been playing around with. Most of my trading is done on TD Ameritrade, but sometimes I just play around with a few $100. And to show you guys that I'm not, an idiot with this, we can look at the last month, I'm up 43% in the past month. So I know what I'm talking about. I know these platforms, and I'm not going to give you any investment advice in particular. Although now that I'm thinking about it, you can see some of the stocks that I own right now, and you could hold that against me in the future, but don't worry. Those are going to outperform expectations. Anyways, just thought I would share this platform. And if you guys have any other questions about these platforms, just leave all your questions, comments in the comments section below. So let's hop into number 2, saving a sufficient amount of money. Now, according to Forbes, 63% of adults in America don't even have $500 to cover an emergency. I find this stat particularly unsettling because it shows and reflects the current state of the American education system and just how bad American adults are at saving. Now, I'm not blaming the education system entirely. In fact, I think there are actually more threatening factors that cause these problems. Some of these could be one's upbringing, their own spending habits, their own lack of responsibility and willpower, pressure to fit in by buying the latest product, etc. These can all be solved by gaining a knowledge of personal finance and by taking a better, honest look at yourself and your priorities. Write down your priorities, and if your spending habits do not align with them, something needs to change. If you're spending money on booze every weekend but claim you do not have enough to put into your savings account for that week, then you need to stop making reckless spending decisions and align your money with your priorities. I recommend starting slow so you can get the hang of it. Maybe save $100 every month to start and work your way up to $300 3 months later. The end goal with all this that many experts agree on is you want to have at least 6 months of personal expenses saved up, plus a minimum $500 emergency fund, because you never know what's going to happen. You always want to be sure that your family is safe and you have the means to cover any emergency that could potentially come up. And remember, put money in your savings account, not Nike's corporate account. You can buy the Nike, you can buy the Gucci, the Louis Vuitton, but at the end of the day, that is not going to return on investment for you. Savings, there's better investments, but you always need to have some money saved up. And you also, we're going to get into this more later with specific bank accounts, but I thought I'd show you a few good options right now. And the first one I want to talk about is Marcus, actually through Goldman Sachs. And As you can see right here, 2.25%. Now, compare that with something like Bank of America. I actually used to have an account with them. I think I was getting 0.05% in my savings. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how they screw you over like that. Marcus, on the other hand, this is, revolutionary, honestly. Of course, always make sure that they're a member of the FDIC. If not, do not put your money in there. But you can see here, you get 2.25% annually. So that is a very good spot to start putting that money that you're going to be setting aside every month. Number 3. So you want to be constantly learning and bettering your knowledge of finances. A good place to start is maybe by reading some of the great finance and self-help books. I like to read 2 to 3 books a week, but I know everybody's not going to do that. So maybe 1, 2, 3 books a month is solid to start out. And I'm going to give you some recommendations that I've read and are universally praised. So let's hop right into it. First one, Broke Millennial by Aaron Lowry. That one really does a good job at discussing budgets, bank accounts, all of the above. Next, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book is kind of about the foundations and the mindset that you need to have to undergo this journey of financial freedom. And it really puts things in a different light. And next, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This was actually one of the first books I read on the topic of finance and money, and it really changed the way I thought about money forever. I realized that I need to have my dollars working for me instead of not having any control over where they're going, which is pretty much what happens when, you impulse buy. Very good book. Next, Power Habit by Charles Duhigg. This kind of can show you how to, replace some of your bad habits with better, more, habits that are going to do more for you. So this actually runs you through the systems of implementing new habits, new strategies to take care of those bad habits and start being more productive with the way you spend your time. And lastly, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. This is a little, thicker of a book, but again, it's a great roadmap, talks a lot about mindset, and really, really sheds a light on this whole personal finance scene. And I just want to say, simply reading is not enough. One must take action upon what they read to see results. Personally, I take notes. I, jot up everything my books look like. They've been through war. When I finish a book, I actually write a little report on it and write down the things that I took away that are like the key points of what the author is trying to say, their message, and then also action steps that I can take to implement the vision of these authors. So yeah, again, take notes when you read. Make sure you really digest and have an understanding of the author's message, and then figure out that way to take action and do it. It all comes down to doing it. So start today and never stop, because learning is a lifelong activity, and there is no better way to increase the standards of one's life than by becoming more intelligent and massively applying that knowledge to real life situations. Other mediums of education could be online courses or YouTube videos from people such as Dave Ramsey, Gary V, VaynerMedia, and social media podcasts, all of the above. Remember, with stuff like Gary V and stuff, though, it's all inspirational and stuff, but even he says, stop watching his videos, go out and take action. You know what to do. If you know what to do, you got to go do it. You're only procrastinating by sitting there and watching those videos. And one thing I want to say about lifelong learning and reading is that take a look at the Forbes list, go watch all the interviews with those guys, read their books if they have them. You'll understand how important that continuing to grow and learn is. All right. And actually, here's just, the links to a few of these books. There's Think and Grow Rich, $7.99 on the Kindle, That's a Chipotle burrito. So, why don't you eat home tonight? Get that book and dive right in. And then here's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you're starting out, this is a really good book. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the rich teach their kids about money that the poor and middle class do not. Number 4. This is more about if you're an entrepreneur, and it's always have a part-time job. If you have your full-time job, then it's kind of the opposite. Make sure you always have other income streams, but we'll get into that. This is more if you are the online entrepreneur traveling. You don't have to be traveling. This is just, you have your business, but you also want to have a part-time job to supplement that income. And it can only be 10, 20 hours a week. It doesn't matter. That pays for some of the other bills while, the good chunk of your money is coming from your business. Now, unless you're a millionaire and have reached all your financial goals and just want to live and relax on your yacht, you should always have some type of part job. This teaches humility and it's an extra fixed source of income that you can be saving or investing every month. College kids and young people in particular really should be working as much as possible in their free time while they still have a lot of it and are not quite committed to a family yet. And this is kind of mainly targeted towards younger people. A lot of older people have their jobs, their 9 to 5s. That's great. That's really good money. But if you're in college, and you're starting up your online business, definitely you want to have a little part-time job as well. A lot of people, will live off their parents' money for a while in college and spend it on going out every other night. And they're in for a big surprise once they graduate with their degrees and they have no idea where their money went. Get a part-time job now, start saving, and feel more comfortable for the future. This may be harder for older people with children and a full-time job, but if you want to go the extra mile and really ensure a fat retirement fund for yourself and the family, you can make it work. If you're looking for a part-time job, this is something I use, put in your city, and Indeed is really a good place. They have an easy apply button, and once you have your information in there, your resume and all that, just go through, make sure it has the easy apply. You can still apply to ones that don't. It takes a little longer, but the easy apply jobs, you can actually do a search where it's just those. And, you can knock out 50, it's a numbers game. If you knock out 50, 100 jobs, you'll be getting calls maybe later that day. That's happened to me. I've actually gotten an interview the same day I applied to a job on here. So this is a great place to start. Number 5, you're going to want to develop side income streams. And to really break free from the average working American, one needs a side business or at least multiple side income streams to supplement their full-time job. I personally recommend having at least one, but once you start building them, 5 to 7 income streams is what you need to make you rich. You see, a lot of people say they don't have time, but we all know this isn't true. Say you watch TV for 1 hour every day after work, surf the internet for 30 minutes every day in your spare time, and sleep 8 hours every night. That is 10.5 hours spent every week on internet and television, or 42 hours every month. That is 42 hours you could spend grinding your side business or even working another part-time job 10 hours a week. Start sleeping 6 hours instead of 8 every night, and you free up another 56 hours a month. Altogether, just by changing a few habits, you free up nearly 100 hours a month. You can find the time. You just need to drop some bad habits and make some slight tweaks. And again, especially older people, if you need that sleep, I'm not going to tell you to fix your sleep schedule. I'm sure there's other parts of your schedule that you could rearrange to free up that time. But nobody is too busy to develop another side income stream. But especially for these young kids, the college kids, we're young. You got to go hard. You got to stay up all night. Stay until 3 a.m. working on that business. This is it. We want to make the most of your time now. And some ideas for income streams could be flipping items that you find for cheap, on eBay. You go to Goodwill, find something for $1, flip it on eBay for $12. Some people think that's not worth the time, but what are they doing? You just made $11. That is a meal or two. Trading stocks, online marketing, drop shipping, fixing iPhone screens, or just having an eBay business selling old stuff they don't really need. I got a fun story about that. I actually was moving out to the other side of the country from where I lived before, and I sold everything in my garage, my room, clothes, a lot. I made $1,600. That was enough to pay my first month of rent and get a lot of groceries and furniture for my new apartment. So you never know what you have laying around. But I want to show another example of something. This is something I do. Survey Junkie. You take surveys. You definitely need to have some free time to do this. You can probably make $3, $5, sometimes you're lucky $7 an hour. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but think about what you're really doing. You're just taking surveys, answering questions, and you get a chance to be an influencer and share your opinion, to help these brands. And sometimes I actually, it could take 4 or 5 hours if I got the time, sit down there and try and get $5 to $10 every day, because that's $150 to $300 a month. I don't want to get into numbers about my expenses, but that helps me out a lot. So, it's the little things. You got to develop a willpower and start hustling your side business, and you will have the time. You have it, Number 6, you want to set financial goals. This one is so important because if you do not know what you are working towards, you will likely fall off track. Figure out where you want to be in 5, 10, or 20 years and what you want to be doing then. Ask yourself how much money you want to have by then. These questions are very important to ask yourself so you know where you're headed. Set short-term goals as well as for the day, week, month, and year. And you got to stay consistent with these and constantly make sure you are in a good spot to reach them and that you are consistently taking action to reach them. When thinking of your goals, make sure they are SMART goals. This stands for specific, measurable, actionable, reasonable, and timely. Make sure you know exactly what your goal is. You have a way to measure it, you can take action steps to reach it, it's reasonable in your honest opinion, and that you have a time to complete it by. The time part is super important in my opinion because if you do not set a date to reach your goal by, there is no sense of urgency and you will likely fail. I also really stress writing down your goals. It's so essential because it really turns them from a thought into a real goal that you can see in front of you, and it ingrains it into you. It really manifests, and writing it down is so key. We have a nice little website here. It talks about types of goals for goal setting. So, let's see what they have to say here. When you sit down to write your goals, of course. You got to write them down. You can organize your goal setting around 3 types: short-term, long-term, and lifetime, and you got to have all of these. Short-term goals can be anything you want to accomplish in the near future, whether it's within the next week or the next 6 months, and it can be a small part of a bigger, longer-term goal. And I just want to say, you can have like milestones along the way. And short-term goals enable you to break down a large goal, which may seem overwhelming, into smaller, more manageable increments. And setting these short-term goals makes it easier to conceive the path to long-term goals and increases the completion rate of the big goals. And that's true. I want to say again, once you get something done, it kind of spirals into this funnel of taking massive action. Once you've already seen the first part of your goal be accomplished, something snaps and you really just want to see it through to completion. Next, long-term goals are defined as something you want to accomplish in 3 to 5 years. Long-term goals require planning. It can usually be broken out into short-term goals. And then we hop into the big whale, the lifetime goals. This is about your legacy. This gives you the big picture and our major targets that you would like to accomplish throughout your life. They are the objectives you'd like to work towards to bring you satisfaction in your future. These types of goals can take 10 years or more to actualize and are the benefits of the hard work and dedication you put in now. So you need to think about your legacy. You need to think about how you want you and your family to be looked at, where you want to live, how much money you want to have, what you want in your life. And if you it's not enough to dream. I don't like that word, dream it. You need to think it, and you need to be it, and you need to do it. You need to eat it. You just need to eat it, and you need to do that, because if you're not obsessed with what you're trying to complete, you're not going to do it. And it's so easy. What separates you? You just need to be obsessed and take action and know what you're headed towards. If you write down these goals and you write them down 10, 20 times every day, just make sure you're taking action. Make sure you know what you want, and don't go and brag that you wrote down. You go out there and do something that's going to help you reach those goals. All right. Number 7, create a budget. This is so important because if you do not know your monthly income, you could be having some huge problems. You're going to want to write down all of your expenses and all your income for an average month in 2 different columns. Be super honest here, as Chipotle every day is an expense, and it's an expensive one if you do that. Write down everything you spend money on every month, whether it's alcohol, bar covers, or clothing. And do this down, right down to the last penny. We need to have everything accounted for. And if you do not have a surplus of income compared to your expenses, then you need to cut back expenses hard. No more eating out, no more smoking weed, no more going out. You can make it work. I suggest using an online budgeting service, and I recommend the Mint app on your phone because of its convenience. Here's a little, we got it right here. And I personally use this, and it kind of shows you what you spend money on. You figure out a lot of stuff you weren't even sure about, and it's nice to track. And everybody needs a budget, and you should do your research on the different kinds of budget because there's a lot of them. You got to pick one, and then make sure you're using it every month. And you will see yourself starting to save more money every month, and it'll feel great. Another type of budget I heard is the cash only. You have envelopes, one with rent, one with groceries, one with transportation, and you put the cash in there, and you have that cash allocated for the month, and you can only use that for those expenses. You can have a little fun fund too, so you're not completely boring, but once it's gone, no more. So you only use that cash. And that's a really good one because you can really feel it, you can visualize, you see yourself spending the money. But, everybody's on their phones. There's an app for everything. This is the app you should be using for your budget, mint.com. Number 8. Figure out the best place to bank. And a lot of people are banking at places that are just awful. They have high transfer fees, high ATM fees, and low interest rates on your money. And you're the one allowing them to hold on to it. You should be getting at least 1% on your money. And you can find some online banks such as Ally or Marcus that have high interest rates, so you have your money working for you. And you should find a bank that does not charge you the following fees. You don't want to be paying an annual fee, no lost card fee, no overdraft fee, no minimum balance fee, and no maintenance fee. Do your research and you will find much better options that are not taking advantage of you. Two other solid banks that don't have many fees are Charles Schwab and Bank of Internet USA. Also, I said this before, like, it's important, so I thought I'd mention it again. Also, make sure your bank is FDIC insured. This is so important and can be a deal breaker if they're not. Ditch those fees and start having your money work for you. So obviously we have Marcus, 2.25%, one of the highest. Could be the highest. We got 2.2% here on Ally. You know, a lot of them are not the brick and mortar banks. They're online internet banks, but, you know, people have to adapt. This is the digital age, and honestly, I kind of like it better. You know, I use Marcus myself, and it's really nice. So there's that. And number 9, develop a good understanding of debt. Do not let anyone tell you there is such thing as good debt. Now, I'm not against college. However, if you have to pay for it yourself, make sure it's not too expensive and try to take out the smallest amount of loans as possible. You know, look at state schools. You want to go to the private school, but at the end of the day, you can get a job anywhere. If you do the work, you have the resume, you want to be saving money. You don't want to come out. You know, you can have that job coming out of the private school, but you're going to be loaded down in debt. So if this means also working a job at school to help pay, you know, do it. You do not want to graduate with $100,000 in debt. There could be nothing worse. Look into public colleges as well, you know, versus these private institutions, like I said, because these public universities are much cheaper, and especially if you're in-state, it's really a good idea if you want to save this money. And also, credit card consumer debt is a killer for many people as well. My advice is to get one card and only use 10% or less of your available balance per month and pay it off in full at the end of every month. This is essential because the credit card companies try to trick you into paying the minimum amount every month, and if you do, interest will build up every month, and you could eventually go into serious debt. Other ways to avoid debt include paying cash for as much as possible, not buying a house until you're married and have a stable household income, don't have kids before you're married and well off, and do make sure that if you do need to take out any loan, that you have a plan to pay it back quick and in full. And I just thought we got a little image here. The real cost of debt. The average national tuition increased to $32,728 in 2014 from $23,908 in 2004. Now, that's just 10 years. It went up $10,000 pretty much. In 2004, the average debt of a college graduate was $18,550, and in 2004, the average debt of a college graduate was $30,000. That is the average debt of a college graduate. That is ridiculous. And in 2004 to 2005, Ithaca College spent $50 million in financial aid, and in 2014-15, the college spent $102 million in financial aid. That's just a little example of, you know, how much money these colleges are giving out, and that's still a lot. That's that financial aid, but that doesn't even talk about, you know, the other types of loans you could be taking out. So, you know, be wary of the price of college, because that's one of the biggest things for young people in terms of debt. Car payments, that kind of debt. Consumer debt in general is also very, very bad. And last but not least, number 10, try minimalism. This is a very interesting lifestyle, and even if you do not want to do it forever, I believe everybody should at least try it. Now, instead of having a TV in your apartment, just have a bookcase instead. In the kitchen, you only need one set of silverware, one bowl, and one plate. Now, I want to make something clear. This is about what you value and cutting out things that you don't value. So if you like to watch TV in your free time and everything else is straight, by all means, keep your TV. Maybe you want to get rid of, you know, your skateboard that you don't use. It's about having few items and eliminating stuff that doesn't provide value in some way, shape, or form to you. So, if, you know, these are just examples. And don't spend much on food either, and make sure you eat at home every day and that you buy your food in bulk at discounted prices. Now, that's for everybody. I really think, you know, just go to Costco, get it in bulk. Don't eat out every night. And minimalism is awesome because it can save you massive amounts of money, and it teaches you that materialism is frankly just dumb, and you don't need all the stuff that you once thought you did. That Supreme hoodie, you don't need it. That new speaker, nah, I have headphones. That new S-Class Mercedes that you can barely afford to lease, nope. Drive a 2008 Toyota and keep your miles super low. If you even need a car, I mean, go live in a city, just walk. Try minimalism for a month. See how you feel, and if you don't feel great, you can personally email me and tell me I suck. So those are my 10 things I believe everybody should learn about and do involving finances. Before I wrap up, I thought I'd show you this website too. These are the minimalists. They have a documentary on Netflix, even though I know I talked bad about Netflix earlier, but they got some cool documentaries on there. But if you want to learn a little bit more, you can go to their website and learn about them. And I just want to say, you watch this video, now you know some of the things you can take action on right this second, right after you watch this video, to increase your knowledge and understanding of personal finances and put yourself in a better position for the future. So take action today and watch your life change immediately. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this, you thought it was valuable, leave a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, tell everybody. Thank you guys. Have a good one.